What's going on? It's your boy Bowie here. And I'm back at you with a game that I've never recorded before. And this is the illustrious, the very infamous, difficult but challenging and highly rewarding game from the developer Slowclap, Sifu. Not seafood. Not shrimp, not lobster, not scallops. Sifu, as in Kung Fu Master. That's what the name means. Now, this game is a PlayStation / PC exclusive. Release for the PS4, PS5, and like I say, the PC. If you have a PC, that's the ultimate platform to get this game on. Because as you can see, I'm able to make modifications to the game. Ooh. Yeah, but this is a, action adventure game that's based in martial arts. And, you play as the protagonist. I forget his name, actually. But, the game gets its name from, from the father of this main character. Ooh, excuse me. It's like the first time in history I've yawned in my videos. It's also because it's 5:30 in the morning right now. So I apologize if I sound a little stuffy or whatever. But, yeah, the main character, I almost want to say his name is Jin, but I forget. You don't hear a lot of people refer to his name all that much. But anyway, what happens is, this guy's father is a Kung Fu master. And, you're a little kid when the game begins. But what happens is this Kung Fu master is killed by one of his former students, a dude named Yang. And Yang has assembled a group of miscreants, 4 of them. And together, the 5 of them break into his Kung Fu school. And technically, the martial art there that he teaches is not Kung Fu, but I'm just going to call it that for the sake of brevity. But, yeah, the miscreants, Yang and the miscreants break into his school. They beat up all his students, and they kill him. And they kill him in front of you when you're a child. You're hiding in a little cupboard, and they kill your father right in front of you. Well, Yang kills your father. And then they find you, and that group turns around and slices your throat, killing you. But you have this magical pennant that brings you back to life at the sacrifice of 1 year of your life. So you were like 7 years old when you had your throat sliced, but the pendant brings you back to life, but you're a year older. And that's one of the gimmicks, that's the gimmick of this game. When you die, this game's not like traditional games where you just have X number of lives and you know nothing cool happens when you die. What happens is, if you get killed by the enemies,
I'm getting closer.
You start the game off at a certain age. You start off at the age of 20. And see, 20 years old. Notice there's a 0 next to a skull there. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you start the game at 20. And whenever you die, your death counter goes from 0 to 1. Because that's how many times you died. And whatever number you have for your death counter, that's how many years get added to your life when you're resurrected. So, if I were to die in this stage, my death counter would go to 1. And 20 plus 1 is 21. So then if I would be resurrected at the age of 21, and if I died again, my death counter would go from 1 to 2. And so I would get resurrected at 23. Because 21 plus 2 is 23. And as you die, your death counter goes up, and that number of years gets added to your resurrected age. Now, the game is not completely hardcore because, there are ways to lower your death counter if you have died. So, for instance, if I died once and my death counter's at 1, if I beat enough strong enemies, your death counter could go back to 0. That way, 1 year gets added to your total rather than several. However, your boy ain't trying to die. Ever since I heard that people beat this game at the age of 20, that's what I try to do. And it's not what I try to do, it's what I do. By this point, I've beaten this game about 20 times. I've played all the levels at least 20 times a piece. Because this game is that good. It's that addictive, And what's cool about this game is, even though the stages are the same, the levels play the same when you get on them every time, no 2 runs of a level are exactly the same. And that's because of the damn AI. The enemies in this game are competent. They are challenging. There's a lot of them. They even fight very competently too. Because let me tell you what they do. The enemies all use kung fu and stuff like that. But they all have access to weapons and stuff like that. So they'll have steel pipes. They'll have wooden sticks. They'll have baseball bats, knives. Sometimes they'll have long staffs. Am I missing anything? I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing something though. Whatever. Point is, sometimes they'll have weapons too. And other times they're just barehanded the way most of them are here. And, you have different classifications of enemies. They don't, the game doesn't overtly tell you this. But you do have them. So you have these grunt enemies. And you have different variations of grunts. Some of the grunts have really low health. So you can literally hit them and they're down in a couple hits. Right? Other grunts, they have more extended health. And so it takes more hits to knock them down. Like that grunt that I just knocked down in the red shirt. I knocked his ass out very easy. Same thing with that girl, right? But then other grunts, you gotta hit them more times to knock them down. and then you can't look at them and tell who's who. And so, unless you memorize which grunts, have what kind of health and stuff like that, you won't know. And then what happens is when you go to do a knockdown move or a finishing move on them, sometimes they'll counter your finish move. And then they get fired up like that grunt just was there, and they have the little yellow aura around them. And then you gotta knock them down, and they get their health refreshed and everything. It's kind of dope. Then you have these tanky grunts, the big boys.
I'm going through the door.
And the tanky grunts can be quite annoying because they're tanky. They have a lot of health. They have super armor. And they can grab you and slam you, and they do a third of your health. Speaking of health, your health bar is mad small. And it does not replenish over time. It only replenishes on knockdowns or at dragon shrines like the one I'm about to get right now. Yeah. So when you purchase an upgrade from the dragon shrine, your health resets. Yeah. And so, the combat in this game is incredibly fun. You can unlock special moves, and the combat is based on you attacking and then dodging and parrying at the right time. And there's two types of dodges. There's, weaving, which involves you holding L1 and pressing either down or left and right. And then you have low dodging, which is holding L1 and pressing up. That allows you to dodge low attacks. But more or less, this game is absolutely brilliant. But it's difficult, as you can see. Like, there's times where the enemies almost whoop my damn ass. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta dodge at the right time, or you'll die. And you have to parry at the right time. And this game is about learning the hard way. Look at that. That's a special move. So you got those push attacks, and then you have the follow-ups from the push attacks. And, one of the things I really enjoy about this game is that because it's martial arts based, me as a fighting game or, Mortal Kombat player that understands fighting game terminology, I can apply fighting game tactics to this, such as whiff punishing, parrying, ducking, avoiding, footsies. All that stuff still comes into play because it's fighting, And so that kind of gives me an advantage. Plus, you get to create combos in this game. Most of the combos are short, but you have strings that lead to a combo. That was one of them. So I did a heavy into a push attack, and then I used my follow-up from a push attack to get a knockdown. Now, you're not able to access these combos all the time. You have to do it when an enemy is stunned. And speaking of stun, the way you kill enemies, you can kill enemies in one of two ways. So you can do what I'm doing up here. You see how that red bar is at the top? That's their structure. When that red bar or that bar reaches red from black, that means their structure is broken. And then there's a white bar below that. That represents the health. So you can either deplete an enemy's health or you can deplete their structure. Whichever you can whittle down first, that's what will help break an enemy. That's how you get to stun them. Either you knock them out or you get to stun them and then perform a finisher. And so that's what I'm doing now with this boss. This is the guy that sliced my throat, by the way. Look at that. Oh. I spared him. There's two endings in this game. One is the bad ending, and one is the good ending. The good ending is the real ending. And then you get the good ending by sparing the bosses. And so that's what you're going to see me do in all these videos. But yeah, this game is brilliant. The music's amazing. Gameplay is phenomenal. I recommend everybody get it. So, peace.